a cool giveaway. And then we get a prototype, not having to get a bunch. And we use it for anyone that might want to get, like, it's you go into a raffle. What am I saying?
Yeah.
Is that what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you dancing right now, Evan?
No.
Just, you can lie to us. No one sees
There's no
you.
music. I don't even hear any music.
You want me to turn this bad boy up?
There it is.
Now, are you dancing?
No.
Come on. Come on, Evan.
No.
Come on. Dance like no one's watching, because literally as of right now, nobody is. We're only 30 seconds in. Oh, you're the best, man. You're the best. Probably put you in the hot seat again today, as you get to something new. I don't want to say, look at that, already dividing it into two. We're going to talk about the winners of the voting today for Miss Davis's class. We went and spoke with Miss Davis's class, and like 20 kids created their own beasts for Bastunia, and we took about like 10 or 15 of them. I think it was 15. And we gave it to our followers to vote on. And we said, hey, vote on which one you want us to create first. And just a reminder, we're going to create all of these. If you're tuning in, make sure you say hi, where you're coming from, and what path you're walking in Bastunia. Went into Miss Davis's class. They all made them and took 15. Had you guys vote on which ones will be created first. These are being created thanks to the almighty Chad Aleo from Grand Rapids, Michigan. What a guy.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Chad. Hey, Chad, we appreciate you, man. We love you, Chad. He teaches people high-ticket sales. And then the other one is sponsored by Doug Barr, Doug James Barr, who's my dad, and just wanted to support. And I was like, do you want to create a beast? And he's like, he swore, but he's like,
What's Jones' dad's name?
That's crazy you say that, because Jones' dad's name is James, which is my dad's middle name. And for the longest time, my dad thought he was based off of him. He's like, you got to think about it.
Handsome.
He's like, he's a single dad. Him and his daughter, he's got this relationship with his daughter. He really loves her. His name's James. My middle name's James. And I'm like, damn, all of those do make sense. But I wasn't thinking of you when I created this. But I think that's something that in general,
subconscious.
Like, exactly. Like, what do they say? Authors write about what they know. So yeah, maybe at a subconscious level, Doug, but it did not turn into that. You always get nervous, because if I were to be like, hey, I stem this person off of you, and then I like have to teach this character a lesson in the comic, then that person's like, holy shit, you're talking about, dang it. That's number one. Holy crap, you're talking about me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just creating a character. Interesting philosophical thought that I have is like, I believe characters in comics, novels, fiction, anime, movies, we can put meaning on them, which is great. Like, you can find meaning in them, but we shouldn't place identity on them. I think when we place our identity on them, it becomes way too rigid and it scares people. Snot Rocket Snail did not win, unfortunately. I am all about Snot Rocket Snail. I wanted Snot Rocket Snail to win, because it would take Evan like really probably 8 of these panels just to draw, because it's so big. Someone already gave it away. We're going to be drawing 2 today, so we're going to actually be there's 2 winners today. What a hook by Dylan, where I said, tune in to see who we select, just to get you guys here. And look what I've done. You're here. But we're going to do both. I asked Evan if he could do both, and he said, I will do it. They'll be perfect. They'll be, not only could I do 2, Dylan, they'll be 100% perfect by the end of this stream, which is only 56 more minutes. So thank you, Evan.
I believe what I said was sure.
My least favorite response from anybody, like worse than K, is sure. Because I never know if sure is like, it sounds like it's like, yeah, I guess. And I always get nervous, especially when it's
worse
like, I'm asking.
No?
Honestly, worse than no. I'd rather you just, coming from a sales background, I'd rather you say no to me. That being said, after hurting my feelings, how you doing today, Evan? How are things in San Francisco?
I'm all right, thanks. A lot of elementary school tours lately, which is really taking it out of me. But part of the process.
Have you picked
important
one?
part of the process. I mean, sure, but it's not really relevant. It's a lottery system here, so we're really just touring them to give ourselves the illusion of some kind of agency.
Wow. So it makes you feel like you have a choice.
Sure.
Good for you, man. Good for you. It's wild that you get to go and say, yes, we like these. We'll go into the
But
lottery and
we
hopefully you
will.
select us.
We may never go here. Yeah, exactly.
Tough, man. Matt, how are things down in Austin, Texas?
Things are good. We've got so many projects going on at once, but this is exactly how I like it to be. I wake up every day thinking of what I'm going to complete that day and how I'm going to look down at the nuances of completion of this project, and it's really exciting.
Nice. Good for you, man. And you have family coming in, you said, next week for the holidays, right?
Yeah, I got
Show
my
off
folks
that house.
coming down from Michigan, enjoy some 50s and 60s. Texas is funny about Christmas because we're not going to have snow, so they do it up in other ways, like so many trees along the main highway, or people go out there with tinsel and ornaments and lights, and you drive down the highway and just hundreds of Christmas trees will be decorated. Yeah, it's fun.
That's pretty cool. Hopefully we get, I don't think we had snow last year in Michigan, but hopefully we get it this year. We have a Christmas Eve tradition at my dad's house where we open presents and then we drive around and look at all the houses with lights. And then I'm on one side of the car and my dad's on the other. And then it's whoever can count who has more lights on their side. And then when we were growing up, my dad would purposely know which places had the most lights, and he would drive down, so he'd always beat me. Like he'd always I would take the lead, and then as we're coming back, he's like, I know I'm going to go down this street, and win. So
now, would James do that to Joan? Maybe
1,000%, yes.
Yeah. Holy shit, I did write my dad. Dang it, I just swore again. We are expecting snow in Michigan this year. This is awesome. For those that know, I am not typically in the area that I am when I chat with you, and I'm holding my mic today, but I brought it all the way over to the great north of Canada. Is it 3? We're at 3 right now for the tracker. I'm gonna do my best not to swear. I'm at 3, and if Darren and Raylene are watching and the kids are watching, I owe money into the swear jar. We're going to talk about them in a bit. I'm in Canada for the weekend. First weekend getaway since having a kid. No kid. Just me and my wife. Nice, relaxing, overlooking Lake Huron. The sun's coming down right now. So I'm going to do whatever I can to keep this to an hour. Not because I don't like you all, just because I want to fully relax for the weekend. That being said.
Well, congratulations. Not sure how you swung that in the first year.
I'm telling you, it's James. I mean, it's my dad. He's like, hey, do you guys want to go anywhere? I'll watch the kid. Do you guys want to go anywhere? I'll watch the kid. He's so excited to watch the kid.
That must be nice.
And we just finally said yes. It's this awesome part about coming back to your small hometown. Everyone talks about the negatives. Nobody talks about the positives, and that's definitely one of them. Today, we are creating 2 beasts. So we're going to talk about how we got here, speaking to schools, speaking to Cade's class. We're going to walk through all of the beasts these kids drew. They will all get created. We just had a vote of who would get created first. And then we're going to talk about the 2 that did get created. So you guys feel free, if you're tuning in, ask us any questions about what we do, how it started. If you have a design question of how Evan takes a little kid's imagination drawing and turns it into his own, ask questions. Ask questions about the co-creating process. Ask questions about the lore, timeline, anything that's coming up in the future. If you don't ask questions, we're just going to keep talking.
And you don't want that.
You really don't. Honestly, there's some times where it's like when Michael Scott's like, there's times I just start a sentence and I don't know where it's going. That's me for 50 minutes. If you guys don't ask questions, you're just listening to me. Matt, say something so I can stop talking.
Let's take a peek at the contenders.
Awesome. Okay, let's go through it. I'm going to pull Evans down, and we're going to tell you who won. We're going to tell you some of our favorites. Actually, before we do that, can we talk about how we got here?
Who's Cade and how did we get here? How did we get into Mrs. Davis's class?
One of our followers our very first fan, Cade McDonald, is the son of a guy that I play hockey with, Darren McDonald. We play on a men's league team together, back to back champs. Not a big deal. Darren and his wife Raylene really love what we do, and like how excited it made Cade. So Raylene reached out to Cade's teacher, and she's like, "Hey, I have a friend that's writing these comics." And Miss Davis is like, "Oh, you're Cade's mom. Yeah, Cade won't stop showing everybody these beasts that he had created for him. It's kind of distracting everybody." So Raylene's like, "Hey, can I put you in touch with the author and he can come speak to the class?" And she said, "Yes." Matt, do you want to pull up our website? So I got to go speak to Miss Davis's class with Cade, our number one fan. Yeah, look at it real quick. Yeah, it was awesome. Got to go speak to their class, and I talked about the importance of imagination and creativity. How important it was. I basically talked about my background being a consultant and working in business, and saying one of the biggest things that helped me is having a really good imagination and being very creative. And I taught these kids the difference between imagination and creativity. Imagination being bringing something to life in your head that hasn't been brought to life before. And then creativity is taking it from your head and bringing it to life in reality. So like thinking of cool ideas and then bringing it to life. And then I told the kids about this world of Bastunia where everyone is born with a different mythical beast called a calling, and it represents what they care about for their entire life. And then I gave the kids an opportunity to create their own beast. We talked about the different paths. We talked about builders, explorers, defenders. We talked about the different beast types. You can see me talking to the class, and then each of the kids got to create their own beast. So this is something that we look to do a lot more in the next year. So if you're watching this and you're like, "Hey, it'd be really cool for these guys to come speak to my kids' class," feel free to reach out to us. We can give you a write-up to send to the class, and we could potentially take next steps.
I'm just going to start leaving cards at all the elementary schools I'm touring.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, "Hey, if we can't make the lottery, like if you could just pass this to somebody. Thank you."
Is this going to help our chances at all?
I'm the one that draws it to make sure it's like I'm the creator. I'll do this for your kid. Are you allowed to bribe like that?
I mean, no.
All right. We're at 1 on the board. 3 swear words, 1 bribe already by Dylan.
Dylan actually goes around to a lot of the schools in Michigan and hands his art out, and he gets run out of the school.
Hey, look what I can
draw.
What
is this kid giving us stick figures?
They're pretty decent stick figures. And we all saw what I drew for Italia's Beast, so I don't want to hear it. Out of all these 20 kids that all created theirs, we took 15 of them, and we put them to a vote. So I'm going to take this off, Matt, and if you want to bring up Facebook now, and we'll talk about each of the beasts that were created. And if you're watching in the chat, if your favorite comes up, let us know which one is your favorite and why. Which one is your favorite and why? Let's go through each one. Look at these bad boys. Yes. All right, this one's done by Zachary. I'll go this one, Matt. This one is so I kept telling him, I'm like, you can choose one path and you can choose one beast type. And I had 6 different questions of kids going, "Can it be multiple paths?" And I'm like, "All right, whatever you want." And they're like, "Can it be multiple types?" So this one is a defender vanguard, but it's also somehow stealthy. And it's the last thing I think of is stealth when I see this beast. It's got volcanoes for hands. Those are small volcanoes on both of its top hands. It's got 6 arms, as we can't tell. On the middle ones, they have a lava vault is in the middle ones. If you look on the left side, I think that says lava vault. It's got a lava orb in its chest. So it's a chest with an orb made of lava, 2-headed monster. And Matt told me not to forget, if you want to put your around it, the stabilizers. So it looks like you might have to, this one gets stabilized. And then the last arms look like you might have to plug it in. You could potentially have to plug it into the wall. And what's
important, charge it.
You got to charge this. You got to charge the volcanoes and the volts. What is important to this beast is its friends and its family. So I asked each kid, what is important, or what does this beast value? with the hopes of the kid says, hey, this is what the beast values, but it's really what the kid values. So the stealth of volcanoes is what
Jordan
we
Lynn over here had a name suggestion: the Fire's Desire.
very
Like
good
that.
name.
10 votes.
We'll make sure to ask Zachary what he thinks of it. All right, so that's the first one.
Yep.
Second
Right.
one, which is a winner, which is one of our winners. You go ahead here, Matt.
All right, so this is Beckham. It's an Explorer Mariner, which is, categorized by its love of the water. It cares about its friends. Its abilities are to shapeshift. You can see this kid is definitely thinking about aerodynamics. Beckham as drawn the beast because the shape of its head helps it move faster. Slipstream right through the water. It's got these water gliders that fold in as well. Extra water gliders over here. Fold in on land. It's also got a stinger.
And it's poisonous.
Might come in handy. Yep, stingers are poison. And legs are under the body. One thing that we've discovered that kids just really get a kick out of, no pun intended, is just as many legs as possible.
When Evan first created Cade's beasts, every kid gets one round of edits, and if you guys create your own beast, you get one round of edits. And I showed Cade these beasts, and I'm like, "Do you like it?" And he goes, "I love it. It's exactly what I was thinking of." And I'm like, "Is there anything you would change?" And he's like, "More legs." And I'm like, all right. And then I showed him a second beast that we created, and we walked through, and I'm like, all right, dude, what do you like about it? He goes, oh, it looks just like this. And I like that it looks like a crocodile. And I'm like, what would you change? And he's like, could it have more legs? And I'm like, that's what you said about the last one.
And that was a couple weeks ago when we did, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Now.
What's the one that we did where it's like elephant?
Oh, that was Matey. That was John Vance's.
Oh, that was John. Yeah, John. Right. Also, like six limbs.
Wants a bunch of legs. And in this one too, I don't know if it was I think it was definitely fast, he was thinking, but he also wanted to be able to climb on walls. So apparently if you got multiple legs, you can automatically climb on walls. So let's go to the next one. So this is one of them that Evan is creating, and I think that's the one you're creating right now, right, Matt? Or right, Evan?
Yes.
Look at this bad boy. That's what it's turning into. Matt, can you actually go back to Beckham's? Thanks for anybody for joining. Feel free to ask us any questions you have about these bad boy beasts, and we'll do our best to answer them. This is what Beckham created with his imagination. This is what Evan is working on. You can see the fins, and you can see legs and these retractable fins, and look at that poisonous tail. What a good job, Evan. All right, now we'll go. You're welcome. Now let's
climbing on a wall.
Let's go to the next one. And this one is this is Samuel. It's a defender vanguard, but I think it's also stealth, and I think it's also a medic, and it is also shield. So really, this is just an all-around awesome beast. I was going to say a swear word, but I can't. It defends the water temple. So one of the things we do to help kids create is to say like, hey, create a beast is a lot to ask. But if you can give frameworks and say, is it a builder? Is it a defender? Is it an explorer? It helps them figure out certain things, right? It's like, oh, it would look more like this, right? Or it would look more like this. And this is where it would live. So we give a map of the world of Bastunia and ask, where would you live? This guy would live near the water temple. It has glowing eyes that are also scales, glowing scale eyes. It's got a shield. It's got a smoke bomb. It's got a bunch of smoke bombs, and it's got a dagger. So this basically looks like a knight, but its eyes are glowing scales, which I think is pretty awesome. And what's important is protecting the water temple. Next. We love
now, if you were to pick one of the classifications on Defender, you Dylan, what would you say it is?
I would go between shield or vanguard, because when I think of vanguard, I think of like the tip of the spear, and it kind of looks like a knight, but it is holding a shield. So I think it could go one of those if you were to go editor's notes. And this is Chose Powell's favorite. What do you think?
I think maybe the glowing eyes might rule out the stealth, although Yeah, I'll agree with you.
Yes.
I wanted to say stealth until like smoke bombs, you know, like
Yeah.
we're gonna disappear and do smoke bomb.
It could be like a light glowing. But if I had to pick, I'd go Vanguard. If I had to pick
Okay,
one.
I'm gonna go stealth.
All right. Vote which one you think it is. Do you think that one looks more stealth or more Vanguard? All right. What's next? You get to,
Next,
oh,
we
no, I
have-
want this one. Can I do? Can I do this one?
You get what you want always. So yep.
You can do the next two. But my dad tried so hard to get this one to win. Doug at the top, you can see I like this guy. He came over the other night. He goes, "Hey, could I share this and then reshare it?" And my dad clearly doesn't know how Facebook works. He's like, "Could I just share it 6 times?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think that's going to help this one get voted in." But this one is a huge blob. It is, what is that, 42.3 feet tall or 40.3?
That is very specific.
42.3. Yeah.
42.3 feet tall, very specific. Very difficult to kill this guy because if you kill him, it multiplies by 2. Every time it dies, it multiplies by 2. This is the normal one. And I don't know what he meant when he said they are called crimes. So maybe that's the name of this.
If you read it from the bottom up, it almost makes more sense.
It cares about eating grass.
Yeah.
It can lick people. It likes licking people. Even though this is a ball with 2 legs, it can fly. It can explode. Now I get it. If it can fly and it can explode, maybe that's why it's called crimes. It's normal. And every time it dies, it multiplies by 2. Okay, this green one's the normal, and then the bottom's the mega. So I love this one.
It's like Flubber too. It just got a little darker.
The question is, Matt, this will be a question for you. If that is 42.3 feet tall, how big is the tongue?
All right, let's figure this one out.
Great question. Thank you for asking.
Is that maybe 10% of its body?
I would say.
And
I'm just
you're
doing
not seeing
this.
the whole tongue. It's just poking it out right now. I'm going to guess there's probably another like 3 times that length of tongue.
I'd say at least like 10% or more.
Yeah.
So it's got to be at least a 4 foot.
Let's say it's going to be a 15-foot long tongue.
15-foot long tongue. Great question. If you have any other questions on what Matt and I think about these kids' creative beasts, we will answer them for you. That is that one. All right, Matt, you get the next 2. I just had to go there. Oh, that's a good one.
This is Maddie's. It's just so sweet already. It's good to get some a female introduced creature here.
I have a fun fact
the men
about this one.
created beasts. Now we're going to look at this. It is called Spiky, but I just get the sense that I just want to be close to Spiky. It's Defender. It's Stealth. My monster's name is Spiky. You know, even that, I already love it.
Great
Spiky cares
handwriting.
about his family. He is blue with green and yellow polka dots. 3'1".
Again,
I like
very specific.
I wonder if they said this. You can usually tell if like kids are creating at the same table.
Oh, there is. What I didn't show is this is the only double. Her best friend was sitting next to her, created the exact same beast, except it was orange.
Nice. Spiky lives by reflection. He is a stealth defender.
This one was actually created by a guy that mentored me at the local newspaper. I worked there when I was in high school. His name's Paul Costanzo, and he was my mentor in the sports section of the Times Herald. Fun fact. Thank you.
This one.
Yeah. This one's dad.
Oh, gotcha.
This one's dad.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. This one really puts out a Dr. Seuss vibe for me.
Real quick, just so we have people tuning in. If you have any questions on these beasts, these are the potential beasts we were going to draw today. We'll tell you the winners, even though we already did. We'll tell you the winners again at the end. If you have any questions on the beast, let us know.
According, I don't see a name. It might be cut off a little bit, but we're falling into a couple different paths here. It's an Explorer, Builder, Defender stealth.
Jeez.
And quite versatile. But fox size, orange, white, red, pink, you can see it. He cares about me, the creator, and friends, and snow. And because it cares about snow, obviously it's going to want to keep warm. So this hat pulls down over its whole body.
Yeah, all the way to its
Yeah.
feet, she said.
Yep, 6 fingers. It's got a fox's tail and nails.
The question that go ahead. I was going to say the same thing.
If there's any theories on what you might think this object off to the right is, then please share.
I thought it was throwing a hatchet through the wall when I first saw it. I still think that's what it is, but I'm probably wrong. Someone put, you must have been hyping up the stealth skill. And I swear to you, the only thing that I said when I said stealth is think ninja. But if you do tell a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds to think ninja, they're all going to be like, that's me.
Yeah, you might as well have presented all the other skills as the garbage skills.
This skill sucks. You can be a shield. That sucks. Or you can be a ninja. All right, let's go to the next one. If you still have an idea of what is in the wall, please let us know. I love this one. This one is Daniel's. He stayed true. It is a shield defender, believe it or not. It lives in Main City. It is 4 stories tall. It is as big as a 4-story building. It cares about protecting people and things that he has. So anything that Daniel has, this defender, it's got 3 eyes. This defender will protect it. This kid was so in the zone. Like he was drawing, just like everyone else was kind of grouping up, and he was just in the zone drawing. And I asked him a couple of times if he had any questions, and he was like, nope, head down. And then at the end, he was really excited to show me. And then this one also has armor, as you can see in the bottom right here.
It almost seems like the third eye here, the arms are up and it's channeling the third eye. I don't know what those circles are, but maybe some sort of telekinesis, putting in its armor on with its mind.
I would say that's probably what it is. It really gave me Tien vibes from Dragon Ball Z of like having the third eye, and like that's what I thought he would have some power out of it. But yeah, I would probably say telekinesis, and that's how I don't know. This armor's got to get bigger, or it could be armor for the kid.
Oh, okay.
Who knows? Go to the next one. Next one.
Perspective.
Next one can be or imagination. Oh man, I want this one.
Cole, yep, builder, supporter. It lives in the sand sea. It's 100 feet tall.
Can't take it a lot of places.
What you see on its back are its friends. And the beauty.
What can it build? What could it build?
Yeah, in a word, anything.
Wow. I just love, we need to put more. I need to do a better job next time, maybe putting some boundaries on these beast powers. But right now we have it cannot die, and if it does, it gets multiplied by 2. And it's called crimes, and it can build anything. So I was telling them though, they're like, "Can it be 100 feet tall?" And I said, "Yes, but you got to ask, where would you be able to take it? You couldn't take it into school because it's too big." So apparently this kid didn't care. He wants to be in the middle of the sand sea. So let's go next. I thought it was cool that how many kids said they wanted to be because I didn't add some of them here, but there were 4 or 5 kids that wanted to be a builder supporter. Like you would think supporter wouldn't, but they were all excited. This is me. This is Dane. This is actually one of our winners. Shout out Dane. It's not being created yet. It is a stealth defender, believe it or not. It cares about its friends' safety. It cares about protecting its friends, which I think is very awesome. And its ability is to grow any part of its body back if it falls off. So very much like a lizard or like an iguana, but it's got spikes. This one got a lot. Anything you want to say on this one, Matt?
I'd love to check in just really quick on Evan's progress because
can we go back to Beckham's?
Yeah, sure.
Go back.
It really seemed like these two, and I haven't obviously seen the artwork for Dane's Beast yet, but they make a good team.
They would. One of them's an Explorer Mariner. The other one's a Stealth Defender. This is what Beckham has created. Matt said he got Nurse Shark vibes, and then this is what we turned it. This is what Evan has turned it into so far. He said, and for those tuning in, Evan did say he would have these done in complete perfection by the end of the hour. He'd have 2 beasts done total.
What's the swear jar at?
I didn't say that. I didn't swear, did I?
No, I was just about to.
Oh, I mean, someone's already. This Mariner is awesome. I honestly like both of them. I think it's really really cool. Let's go to the last one, Matt, and then we'll come back into Evan as he finishes this one and starts to draw the Spike Beast. The last one I get to talk about because it was my first vote. I remember when Miss Davis first sent these over to me. This was the first one that I got to read. This one is a slug. It's called Snot Rocket. It is a slug that is covered in lava, and it cares about home. And if you can, I don't know if we can zoom in, but if you can you at least put your mouse over the human, Matt? That's the size of a human. That is the size of a human, and then this is the size of the Snot Rocket. Apparently, it can shoot something out of its nose. It has thrusters on its back, so it's a slug that can go fast. Gives me turbo vibes. This was my vote, and this was my brother's vote. But apparently, unfortunately, it didn't win. Matt, how big do you think this is? If a human is that size?
Yeah, let's do the same thing. Let's say that human. Let's say that human's 5 foot tall. Yeah. Ooh, good question. Here, let's.
I'd say 5% or lower. In the chat, how big do you think Snot Rocket is? Covered in lava. That's getting way too technical.
I'm gonna go less. It's I'd say about 3% of its body length.
3%. So 5 foot human, 3%. 3 goes into 100. How many times? 33 times.
150 foot long thing.
Gosh, 150 shoots snot the size of cars. Could you imagine just walking through Bastonia and see this bad boy? I think they may have said again this was a stealth defender. And I was like, how? I don't know how this one's stealthy, but whatever people want, whatever is in your imagination, we create. So that is yes, you guys get it. Shoot snot the size of crimes after they have split off from dying. I mean, if you start melding some of these kids' beasts together, you're going to have one kick butt beast. Oh my goodness. So that is Miss Davis's class. We will do our best to bring all of those to life. The best way that we do that is done through Kickstarters. You can create your own beast in a Kickstarter that we launch. You can support a child that we've met, or you can support somebody in your family. So if you have, obviously we're getting past Christmas, but maybe next year you got a cool Christmas or birthday gift, we will create a kid's beast, and me or Matt will chat with them, talk to them about it, and then we send the information over to Evan, who draws it. Oh my goodness. Matt, which one did you want to win?
I voted for a few, to be honest.
I voted for like 3.
I've always liked Beckham's. I mean, it's just quality. It's if I were to go back and I were to revote, I think if I could vote not based on artistic ability, but vote based on just pure creativity.
You'd vote for me.
Uniqueness. Are you talking about Snot Rocket? Who's the vote for you?
No, vote for me and my not creative stick figure.
Oh yeah. You got my vote when I joined forces.
You got the king of that category.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm excited for all of these, and for different reasons. I like the night. People love the crimes, the licking one, but I don't know. That one confused me.
This one was if I go just on creativity, I'd go crimes.
Okay, cool.
You would go which one? You said if you go just on creativity, which one would you pick?
The first one. Yeah. The first one has got
the stealth volcanoes.
The stealth volcanoes.
that kid also was extremely excited to create his beast again in his own little zone. It was crazy because you'll see some kids want to like partner up and say, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And as we go into more classes, like we want to really help self and social awareness for young kids through the use of imagination and creativity. Because let's be honest, you're just like me, probably in my subconscious, thinking of my dad as I created James. These kids are creating their calling. So instead of you having to ask them questions and what they care about, they put it on this calling and they just say, well, this is what my calling would care about, right? So you're getting some self-awareness through it of what this person cares about, what this kid cares about. And then the other thing for social awareness that we thought was a really cool idea is having kids share their beast with a friend and tell their friend, hey, this is what my beast does and where they live and what they care about. And one of the questions that I asked the kids is I was like, hey, would it be cool if everyone created the same beast? And everyone was like, no. And I was like, why? And they're like, well, everybody's different. So just to have it like sink in of like, hey, everyone's going to have their own skills, their own strengths to bring to the table. It's good to be different. Because I mean, I remember as soon as you go to like middle school, how cliquey life can get.
Worse.
Yeah, you say worse than middle school, or it can
No, the worst. Middle school is the pits.
Yeah, as someone that skipped a grade in middle school and I got like thrust into a then bigger grade, it was one of the scariest times of my life. I'm like, I just need to fit in.
Matt has or Cuthbert, I should say, has a good question. There you go. We want to talk through that.
You want to read it? You're a better reader than me.
Where do you see the kids getting most excited when you're talking about the beasts, when you're making them, when you're showing them and sharing them? Where's the most engagement?
I think the kids got really excited when they got to see the comic at first and then hear about the beasts. Like you speak to all these kids and I was nervous. I'm like, these kids could just be making fun of me when I go speak, but how excited they got. And then when I was asking them, like when I was describing what a builder would be or what a defender would be, like how excited the kids would be like, oh, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. I would say that and the act of creating. So I would say it's almost like the act of understanding where would they fit in, and then the act of creating. So I know that I'm picking 2 or 3, but they did a little less sharing. Like they mostly wanted to create theirs and talk about it. That's a really good question.
Do you? I know it's a small sample size, but we're looking at each of these. Yeah, Cuthbert, great question. And we've got one explorer. Going through this, I guess most of them are defenders or builders.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say what we got out of the 8 or 9, 10, we've got like 6 defenders, a few builders, and 1 explorer. Do you think that speaks at all to where a kid finds themselves in their life naturally? Like, why do we have so few explorers?
Yeah, that's a really good
small
question.
Sample size, though.
So again, small sample size. 1, it could also be human error on my side of how I described them. I think I said I was shocked how many people voted builder. And it could just be because personally that would be my least path out of the 3. Like I think explorer, then defender, then builder. Bunch of kids wanted to be builders. So yeah, I don't know. Because when I think of an explorer, I think of someone that's consistently getting outside their comfort zone, going and doing new things and like trying new things, going on adventures. So maybe it could also be 3rd grade, just they're still having fun with what they have. Why aren't kids exploring? Why aren't kids exploring more? I don't know, man. What was your biggest place that you would go and explore when you were young, Matt? In Michigan, growing up in Michigan. I think Frankenmuth, we were just talking about it.
Great spot. Yeah. I mean, my family took a lot of trips. I mean, it was going down to Florida or just going around the state. I feel like that was the biggest piece of me being, if I say my first path that I walked in my life, it was the explorer path. Now, no one asked me this when I was in 3rd grade, but had a sense of travel instilled in me from always going places, getting in road trips, driving, seeing the world. So it's going to be something that ought to be taught. But then again, my friends and I were also always in the backwoods with sticks, like just beating paths through the woods, looking for creeks and stuff, looking for tadpoles or whatever. So it's hard to say. I don't know if this sample size is too small to say that kids aren't exploring where they are. I don't have kids either.
See, that's a tough one. I didn't tell them that like exploring would be leaving their home and family, right? Because it's like no kids doing that at a young age, and I could have done it better job than basically hyping it up like I would hype up a ninja. What would anyone that's watching? What would you say to hype up an explorer? Right? Think of a pilot or a climber, or a mariner, or a sprinter. Those are the 4 types of explorers. Like because we're getting ready to do more speaking engagements. Fingers crossed. Please send us good vibes. Speaking with someone at the Ronald McDonald Foundation, we have a chance to speak at a Detroit hospital for like a children's ward, to have these kids tap into their imagination and creativity while they're there. No offense to hospitals. It's not like a great place to be. So bringing some type of light would be awesome, and getting kids excited about exploring. What would you say speaking to these kids when no one's watching except for us and a couple other people on this live stream? What would you say to really hype up the explorer path? Feel free to put it in the chat. And while you do, we have another question about lore of the world.
Casey's question.
This is Casey.
Great question from Casey.
Yeah, really good question. What's up, Casey? I had another really good conversation with Robert yesterday, by the way. What happens if your calling dies in your setting? And I imagine the setting of like Bastunia. Do you get another? I'm gonna answer it what I have in mind right now, Matt, and you tell me if there's any disalignment from you. So what you'll see in the first book and in the second book is when Joan's training, she gets upset at her dad, and she kind of takes her attention off of her calling, Buntu. And Buntu falls off from this tree and hits it. He falls on his butt. And as soon as he takes damage by falling on his butt, Joan instantly feels that. So we're going to have this connection between calling and human, that if the calling gets hurt, the human feels it, and vice versa. So you're really not losing your calling unless you're in a situation where death could be probable for you. Now, there are Azigra attacks, right? And Azigra, these dark entities from the cosmos, try to rip people away from their calling. So there are going to be some instances where an Azigra completely severs the tie between human and calling, and 2 things will happen. The calling either disintegrates, it turns back into energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, but that calling would turn just back into energy of the ether, or it runs off. It kind of separates and sprints away from its human counterpart. The human doesn't get another calling just because it loses one. And Matt, you have an example of it's almost being pulled away from your calling. What's like the marathon runner example? It's a little morbid, but what's the example you used to use?
I'm trying to remember which one you're referencing. I have a different example. But
okay, give me that example, and I'll try to remember one of a marathon runner.
Yeah, well, since Cuthbert's here, I want to talk about a character that him and I designed when we were in Orlando together. So the big bad in the account of Argus, which we may talk about that today, we may not, is this member of what we're kind of colloquially calling the body tribe. It's the soldiers of the time. And right when the soldiers of the time are brought to Bastunia, they immediately start fighting Azigra. In one of these Azigra battles, the big bad actually loses its calling entirely. I haven't written this scene or really even imagined this scene too much, but I do imagine, Casey, that it's dead. And it's kind of like, if we were to try to relate to this, it's kind of, think of somebody in your life that's just so confused. They're just so lost. They have no idea what their purpose is in life. And man, like, do they ever make decisions that get them any closer to being fulfilled? Or do they just do stuff and you just think, why are you doing that? Like, that is hurting you. They're just grasping, they're just compulsive at all times. And it's misery. But it's not that they lost their purpose, it's just that they've lost their awareness of it. They've lost their sense of it. They really don't have this like compass to make good decisions. And so this big bad in the story, she ends up having a child, thinking that the child will fill the void of my lost purpose. And when the child doesn't, then she's just kind of going further and further into madness until she is who she is today, which is kind of this big bad character. And plenty of phenomenal female examples in this story. Don't worry.
Don't cancel them.
But that's how I think of people going through life. You wouldn't get another. What are you going to do? You got to find it.
For the longest time in Bestunia's history, people could be born with multiple, or people could gain other callings down the line. And then after a while, God kind of took his eye off the God of this world took his eye off the ball, and people only got one. So where we're at right now, if you lose your calling, you lose your calling. And then there's another question of, can you inherit someone else's? No, that's their calling. That's what because you're going to have your own flavor, right? Let's say someone loses their explorer mariner calling. You might have an explorer mariner calling in you, but you wouldn't take theirs, like, because you're different. The way you view it, the way you would go about it is a little bit different. So hopefully that answers your question, Casey. You lose a calling. What it really sounds like we're getting to, you lose a calling either at death, because you lose yourself as well, or you lose a calling due to some big circumstance, fight within a Zigra, and you kind of have this aimless wandering for a bit that comes with it. Spoiler alert, we want to get to a point where a lesson that we can teach is you find it's on you to provide meaning to your life. And we're going to see how that all hope isn't lost if someone loses their calling here.
Callings are also
great questions, by the way. Sorry.
So I think they're extremely durable.
Yeah.
If you're losing your calling, man, in one of the short stories toward the beginning, there's a scene where one calling is injuring another calling, potentially even, like pitching it off a cliff. And you see for a short while the effect of this calling being injured and what that effect has on the individual that the calling is attached to. And I think it's a fall off a couple 100-foot cliff, and it's not walking it off by any means, but they're durable.
Yeah, I actually remember as you're saying, I'm like, which one is he talking about? And then I got the picture in my mind. You did a really good job talking about that. It's almost like this disoriented moment for the human, kind of feeling what the calling's going through. Another thing with callings is I like that Matt uses this word, and then I'm going to check back in with Evan. And if you have any questions, feel free to rifle questions off. We got 15 more minutes here. Hold on, I lost it. Oh, Matt has a really good word called connective range. So each human really has a specific connective range with their calling. They can't be super far. Like when you first have your calling, that calling stays, within like a 10-foot radius of you. And the more you get connected with your life's calling, which is symbolized with this mythical creature that's 10 feet away from you, you can start to expand your connective range. But I would say most people, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. We lost him, so he can't. Oh, no, never mind. I would say most people, on average, have a connective range of anywhere between 20 to 50 yards from their calling. Kind of keep it in like a simple spot until they start to get really deep with their calling. They connect with it deeply, or they come across a rune, which we can talk about on a different Facebook Live. There are some people that can be total cities, towns, like miles and miles away from their calling. It's one of the questions that our readers had in the second book is James takes Joan and Artie to his training spot, which is, miles and miles away from Main City. And they go on Maji, his winged stag. But 3 of his callings they run, right? There's no room for them, so they run. But it's because James has such a deep calling. He's the Superman of the time. He's got such a deep calling or connection with his callings, so he's able to do that. But not everyone is. So you're going to start to see that connective range show up more. We got explorer prompts here. What was the last adventure you went on? Do you like going on adventures? Do you like traveling to new places, visiting different states or different countries? Do you like finding all the hiding places in the house? I really like that last one, especially for, young 8-9-year-old kids.
I have a question about explorers.
Hit me, Evan, and I have questions for you.
Does it genuinely have to be something that comes with this kind of intense physicality, like literally leaving the house and exploring, climbing a mountain?
Definitely not.
I didn't hear the question for some reason. I lost you guys completely. I'm so sorry.
So I asked, does being an explorer have to necessitate having this kind of intense physicality, like literally climbing mountains? Or say, can, a novelist who literally explores or creates new worlds fall into that bucket?
Yeah, it would be great question. It would be the latter, but how I envision this is the calling would probably have the physicality. The calling, being a climber, would have the ability to do that. Because I thought the same thing too. It's like, if you see that we've all met that small but mighty warrior, right? I think of, a kid battling cancer. It's like that kid is a complete warrior. And if in their heart of hearts, they're like, I know I'm going to beat this. I know this is difficult. And I'm like, that kid would have another swear jar, would have such a badass defender beast. It's ridiculous. If that's the way they looked at it, right? Like, I have things here that I love and I'm getting through this. Like, that kid's defender beast is going to be way more powerful than mine, because I think that this kind of comes back to the importance of our true deep desire, our calling. A lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of times has nothing to do with our physicality. So I would look at it the same way with explorers.
Let's take an example of an explorer who's just exploring internally and exploring the secrets, the truths, the makeup of the world. I think reading is an example of an activity that you may do. Reading in order to learn what this world has to offer. Even just like what kids do, sitting in a high chair and just like knocking things off their high chair, experimenting with the physics of the world. What happens when this happens? What if? Like that's definitely more of an explorer tendency. Not I need to get out there. I'm just curious about how my world works.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good question. I'm assuming it's Casey, because I know Casey said builder, but I could be wrong. Could be somebody else. But the question is, according to my test results, I have builder calling, probably because I'm an artist. So would this calling be an artist, or would it legitimately build things out of wood and masonry? Well, I think first one, because artist is one that has been difficult for me to be like, all artists are builders or all artists are explorers. But I think it's more like the desire in which like art is the avenue. When I think of a builder, I think of someone that, sees everything that they have in life, like everything that the world has to offer, universe has to offer, and they go, oh my gosh. And they're filled with like nothing but like curiosity. I think it's the word curiosity. But the question they ask themselves is like, what can I make of all of this? So it's almost like, how can I take all this and create something? And when I think of an explorer, they see everything that the world and the universe has to offer, and they go, oh my gosh, how can I better understand all of this? I think an artist could fall in both. And I think that beast powers would lean around your natural genius, would lean around art. We're going to have some builders, when we talk about the all build, when we get to Metropolia, is they're going to participate in the all build. Some of them are going to build structures that are immense to try to grab the attention of a Zigra on purpose. Some of them are going to just have really flashy artistic structures. So each builder is going to have their own thing. So if you were a builder calling, and because you're an artist, your beast would be the flashy artist type. It wouldn't have to be creating things. That doesn't mean it just because you're a builder, you have to build something. You're a creator. But
We're
like
talking
Evan
about this. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You finishing a thought?
I was going to say, but like Evan was even saying is like, if he looks at his art of like, hey, there's this source, there's this deep desire of wonder that I have, and I also have a skill of writing. So drawing helps me understand that, then he might be more of like a flashy explorer beast.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've talked about this with through the question, which path would a teacher be?
Mm-hmm.
And any one of the paths could show up as teachers. They can vary in many occasions. The intention behind the action is what is what reveals the path. If I made art as an explorer, it may be, I feel like I'm thinking of David Bowie. It's like, as I create, learning so much about myself as an artist. And that's the true gift of art, is I get a glimpse into the shape and the color of my soul. Versus I have this, I can imagine this piece and I want to bring it to life. I want to put it on this wall. I want to have it be, this masterpiece that's expressed. Trying not to cross over in paths there, but
yeah, I'm trying to think of and that's like, we're gonna blend lines. It's another thing we want to show in this is like, explorers can be builders, defenders can be explorers, right? It's like we might have a native genius, but a lot of times it can help us expand on it. And also I tell people, like, we give you the quiz if you want to take a quiz, but if you hear all these and you have this like intuitive, like innate pull towards one, that's you. That's where you're at, right? It's like, trust that intuition. Some of us have really high intuition. Some of us need a little bit more frameworks. I sometimes need more frameworks.
The way that I view a lot of this,
mm-hmm.
and your guys' intention with the IP is completely separate from my possibly very erroneous reading.
If you continue to not loop us into as a 3-person team, I'm going to get upset. But you keep going.
Okay. I'll add that to the invoice.
Thank you.
If my reading is that callings definitely have this kind of identity, and they're very much tied to their person's identity and their person's calling and their person's intention. But a lot of what happens in the course of these stories and these comics and these novels is, as much as it is about the nature of these callings, it's also about the nature of how Bostonian society deals with and interprets and reacts to those callings. And so it's sort of dangerous to say this is how things are in Bostonia, and therefore that's how the callings work. Whereas it's more, to me at least, I'm looking forward to seeing more of the tensions around, how have they gotten this wrong? How is that going to affect some of these characters?
Matt's so excited to come in, and you're just so everyone, Evan's 100% right. It's like, this is a societal thing, and I think we see that a lot of times too. Is people want to classify us in a certain way. We're giving you, like, people that watch this, everyone that tunes in, you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek of what other people are going to start to get as they read the comics over the next couple of years. Go ahead, Matt.
So we've conceptualized this a little bit, but a big lesson that we want to teach in essence is, the moment you define something, you stifle your ability to discover it. And as people, we really want to put labels on things because it helps us put them into boxes and help us say, like, well, I understand that thing. But every time you label it, you reduce it to the label and you cease to be able to discover nuances to it. That's the discovery or definition lesson that you'll see infused in a lot of different stories. I think this might be in an Argus story at some point, when Argus later on in life, which will be like the 3rd book, we're far from this, so we don't really have to call this canon at this point. But Dylan and I were talking about, there's this calling who joins as a core member of Argus's like cabinet, the people that sit around him and help him structure society into an orderly fashion. And this cabinet, or this individual, this calling, is able to like read callings. And in the reading of the calling, they sort of, at this point, have people come in and help guide them on their path through this reading. But then when this person passes away and this calling goes with them, they had built some reliance on having these readings. And so this, what we're for now calling the Bureau of Beasts, this bureau fills the void that this calling had, and is like, we'll take over. We know there's 3 different paths, and there's 4 classes for each of the 3 paths, and we can handle this as long as a person comes in with their calling on their first birthday around this time when the beast has taken some sort of some form. Then we'll tell you what your path is. It's just like flawed at its very nature.
I think we started at first. I think we ended up going to 5th, but regardless, it's like you have this initial, in the heart of heart, being like, this is like a beast that's like, this is what you can, like, this is what your true calling could be. Let me help you. But as time goes on, it becomes more rigid. It becomes, and society becomes like, it goes quicker. So we have to be more and more rigid and put people into boxes. And we're going to see some of the downfall of that. Love that. That being said, I am looking at time, and there is a flipping beautiful sunset here. It is orange, pink, purple, and blue. So we're gonna wind down here. The last question I have is, one, I love these. Evan,
That's
did you
not a
take
question.
any? That's, well, no, that okay. 1, statement, I love these. 2, question, did you take any other inspiration other than just looking at these kids' beasts when you created these 2 bad boys? And when we'll be able to see, because I know I put a bunch of pressure as a joke on you saying these are the final products. I know you still want to go through your shading. What other inspiration did you take? When will we see kind of the final?
I mean, there's a lot of dinosaur and lizard in the one on the right. And I'd say for the one on the left, just because you guys went nurse, shark, and dolphin, I decided to go otter.
Oh,
So
nice, because you love us, and we're all in this together.
And I don't see, I couldn't, I had a hard time thinking about a dolphin climbing a tree or climbing a wall rather. And I really think the movement of an otter, the way that they can twist and contort their bodies, and the way their heads are built, it felt like a more on point statement for this kind of amphibious mariner explorer.
Yeah, I love it.
It's opinionated, and we'll see what the actual kids think.
We go back to Thomas Edison Elementary, hopefully in January or February. So when we do, I'll show these to Beckham, and I believe it's Dane, and we'll get their thoughts on it and see if we have any edits to send back over to Evan. But and then the other question, Evan, when will, let's say, shading and things like that be done? Because we're going to put this up on our Instagram. If you're watching, make sure you check out our Instagram over the weekend, probably Sunday, and we'll put these the final shades on these. Will it be ready by then? I answer the question for you.
Yeah. What's the deadline that you just gave?
When will you have these be done, and will it be Sunday?
Sunday will probably work. Today's a bit of a wash.
Awesome.
Oh, year's a wash.
Well, hopefully people are watching this and they're laughing like we are. If not, you're just literally looking with no emotion at 3 madmen laughing at themselves. Thank you for tuning in to another Beast Creation. We will be back. We'll probably be taking the break for the holidays. We'll let you all know in our Facebook page. Make sure you follow us there. You're following us on Instagram and other platforms. We appreciate it. Any questions that you think of between now and the next one, throw it in the Facebook page, and we'll make sure to answer them on these calls. I appreciate you all so much. And until next time.